All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and my elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth to rule well. Salakia. I'm going to be going into a couple things. You know, I was looking into couple of historic moments, historical artifacts, and things of that nature. I did see, something that sparked my interest and kind of went into it a little bit. But, we believe Adam and Eve were dark-skinned people. All right. Not just us, but also scientific. You know what? Let me see if I can look that up. Let's see. Scientist. Dark skin. Let's see. Dark skin. Adam and Eve. See if I can find something off of that. If the Bible is literally true, Adam and Eve were most likely. Let me see here. It says JOJ Nursing and Healthcare. It says if the Bible is literally true, Adam and Eve were most likely platinum blonde Caucasians. All right, and that's what they want you to think, man. They want you to think that they were blonde Caucasians, man. All right, but when you go into the scientific, background of it, you're gonna come to find that out of white people, all right, or so-called Caucasians. Let's see. Can Caucasians... Can Caucasians have dark children? All right. So when you look at the scientific part of it, all right, they won't even let you put dark, man. You have to put the word black. All right, which just goes to prove who's in charge of history. All right, whenever I go into, these artifacts that I found. So it says, as a black dad to kids who look white, I allow myself know these twins. My biggest fear as a black father, what white parents, a handy guide to ancestry and relationship, even though the genetics behind it really poor understood. The stories where white parents have black babies. All right, and those black babies, those white parents that have black babies, so-called black, all right, are children that come from, their fathers come from a background of so-called Negroid descent. All right. It says pseudoscience. It says a review of the genetic and biochemistry of human pigmentation shows that all humans have similar amounts of neuromelanin, brain melanin. Was first black woman to give birth to 2 white babies. All right, so you don't really hear. All right, they say, all right, that white people can have black babies. When there hasn't been, actual records of an actual Caucasian having so-called black babies, unless the father was a so-called Negro. But for 2 white parents to have a so-called Negro child is, unless adopted, it's not gonna happen. So back then when you would search this up, man, it would clearly tell you, all right, the scientific data behind it. All right, white parents could not have black children, so-called black. And that was just the history behind it. How would it be possible, or why would people get angry if their child was dark-skinned if it actually belonged to them? It's because it's not true. After Esau, Edom, All right. Even the children of Cain, all right, which was marked with leprosy by the Most High, even his children bear the mark, as it tells you in Genesis. His children even bear that same mark, man. And he said, surely if my father is gonna be hunted, I'm gonna be hunted tenfold. It even tells you that in the scriptures, man. Because they had a mark, which is what? Leprosy. How is the Most High gonna have a leprosy, and how is Yahushua gonna have leprosy? How are they gonna be Caucasian, white, so-called white people, man? How is Adam and Eve gonna be Caucasian, all right, whenever they were made from the ground? All right, the dirt is not pale. You don't have pale dirt. That's called sand. Adam and Eve were not made from sand, man. They were made from the dirt. From the dirt of the earth, which is what? Brown, man. So the first person to bear the mark of a so-called white person, all right, would be Cain. After Cain, his descendants, after the flood, nobody. After the flood, nobody really had it, until Edom. Edom was the first white man after the flood. That's why his name is Esau, which means wasted away. All right, because his skin was wasted. All right, what good is pale skin, man? It gets you cancer. If you're out in the sun, laboring and working, it gets you cancer. You're born red. But when you have pigmentation or melanin, all right, that actually helps you whenever the sun rays hit you. All right, it just makes you dark. All right, it kind of builds a shield for you. Same thing with dark eyes. Dark eyes, all right, are better than blue eyes, or green eyes or colored eyes, because it's actually stronger for you. So let me see. Let me see if it says here, white couples have black babies. It says black twins are born to white parents after treatment. All right. And that woman was probably sleeping with a Jake, man. And that's why she had white babies. It says classified as colored by authorities during the epidemic. Baby tail, not black and white. A black woman. All right, it's not going to tell you, man. The way that Esau Edom has this system set up. All right, back then there's things that you could research and, right away the answer was there. And now you have to go through pages and pages, all right, and actually dig all the way deep to get an answer, But that's just the way that Esau Edom does, man. You have to know the truth to hide the truth. And that's how Esau Edom does. He's a deceptive man. But it says Genesis 25 and 23, and Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. All right, and the one shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. All right, and that's when Esau Edom and Jacob Israel were born. Jacob was holding on to the heel of Esau. All right, but Jacob is much stronger than Esau. Even though Esau was a man of the field, still Jacob is stronger. So it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment. All right, that doesn't mean he was born red and hairy. All right, he was born red like a hairy garment. And those hairy garments back then were dyed red. All right. It's kind of like the shop towels that you have, in your mechanic shops or in your, assembly shops. You have shop towels which are red. All right. And they look like little hairy garments, man. Little fuzzies coming out. you know. And it's also like the ones that you use to clean your cars. You know, whenever you clean your car, you have this shop towel, or this specific type of towel that is yellow, that is used from the skins of animals. You know, when it's wet, it's you can see like little hairs, little micro hairs, which help you clean the car. All right, and then you dry it, and it automatically, you know, dries up. You know, it was kind of like one of those, but it was they were dyed red back then. You know, so that just means he came out red. You know, and that just goes to show that this is Jake, man. You know, the way that Jake is descriptive sometimes with the words. All right, no, but not really any other nation goes into that, man. You know, Jacob loves to go into that, man, especially when it comes to music. You know, they'll go into descriptive words. You know, like this person was as tall as a tree and as dark as a tree. You know, this person was as dark as a tree, or this person's hair was as wild as a tree, you know, or as a bush. You know, they'll go into descriptive words, and that's what that is right there, a descriptive word, red as a hairy garment, you know, which are called similes, using like or as, which means, you know, just something that it's similar to, or a similitude, you know. So it says, the first, verse 25, came out red all over like a hairy garment. All right. Now who's born red? Let's look that one up. Let's see if Google's gonna, you know, try and say do something stupid. Red born baby. Look at images. And there you go, man. Look at that picture. What picture do you get? You know? Those are pale-skinned babies, man. But they're born what? They're born red all over. All right? Red all over. It says, and the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and they called this name Esau. All right? Now, why were they descriptive with Esau? But then when it comes to Jacob, verse 26, it says, and after that came out his brother, or came his brother out, and his hand took a hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. All right. So it didn't give a descriptive word on Jacob. Why is that? Because that was the norm. All right. That was the norm to have a dark-skinned child, you know. But Esau, Edom, was the first to come out. Again, like his name states. All right. Jacob's name means supplanter. All right, or heel holder, you know, which means what? Descriptive word. All right, Jacob was holding on to the heel of Esau when he was born, you know, so that's why he got that name Jacob. And then you have Esau's name, which had to be descriptive of Esau. All right, which Yeshua means wasted away, you know, wasted away is he, or he is wasted away. Which means what? He was born without melanin, without pigmentation, you know? Which at that time, it doesn't mean that he was bad, all right? But, all right, when you go into reincarnation, you understand why he was born that way, all right? When it goes back to Cain bearing a mark. Genesis 4:15, and Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall take on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. All right, so you weren't supposed to kill Cain. All right, that way you know, because it says, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest, which means for fear of, any finding him should kill him. All right, so a mark Let's go into that word, which is awath. I don't know why it's not letting me go into it. A sign, a signal, a distinguishing mark, a banner, a remembrance, miraculous sign, omen, warning, token, ensign. All right. So let's go into the word Canaan, or Cain, which is Kwayan, which means possession, eldest son of Adam and Eve, first murderer, having murdered his brother Abel. All right. So you go into Kwayan, same as Kwayan, which the word there is spear. All right. Kwayan, a spear, which means what? Cain was a hunter. All right. A man of the field. And Esau was what? A hunter. A man of the field. The blessing that Esau received was what? The sword. All right. A weapon. You know, which that word sword there goes into the Hebrew, which means literally sword. All right. But nowadays, you're not going to have Esau, Edom fighting with swords. All right. The weapon was his blessing. You know. So it says Kwayan, which means a spear, a lance, striking fast. You know, that's his blessing. The spear, the weapon, all right, the sword, the gun. And that's why you have Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, all right, that's so into hunting. That's why he's so into weapons, nuclear weapons, increasing his military. All right, it all goes into what he is. And what is Jacob doing? Chilling. You know, that's what Jacob is mostly about, man. Chilling. You know, and you'll see that whenever it comes to, you know, the way that Esau, Edom was. He was out there hunting, and Jacob was a man of the tents, which means what? He was just chilling. You know, he's a stay at home cat. You know. And that's how you see a lot of Jakes, man. You know, Jakes like to party, but most of the time they're just chilling. You know, they like to get together and just chill. And you have Edomites to kill time. All right, what they like to do is go out hunting, shooting weapons, talking about weapons. You know, that's just an Edomite thing to do, man. You see, especially here in Texas, man. Here in Texas, you see how it is. You know, you really see how it is, because you have a lot of Edomites that are always talking about weapons, man. Always talking about guns. You know, always talking about, you know, I went hunting and I went doing this and I went doing that. You know, you have Jakes that try to follow that lifestyle and talking about guns, man, but it just doesn't fit. All you do is buy guns. Edomites can fix their own weapons up, man. You know, I have yet to see a Jake, you know, pull up talking about, I know how to build a weapon, you know. But going back to Genesis 4, it says, verse 16, and Cain went out from the presence of Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east side of Eden, you know. And then comes the lineage of Cain, you know, the lineage of Cain, which is a bunch of, you know, the sons of the wicked, you know. And the Most High has always created things in two, as scriptures say, you know. So there's an opposing force there has to be an opposing force to the good, you know, which is going to be the border of wickedness, the people that are known as the border of wickedness. All right. So let me go back to Genesis 27. And it says, let me see. And it says, Rebecca's mother Esau is a hairy man. I am a smooth man. Me be thy curse. Let me see. Let me jump down. Genesis 27 and 25. And he said, bring it here to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him and did eat, and brought him wine, and he drank. All right, this is when Esau went out to make the venison for his father. All right, so he went out to hunt, and Jacob, being a supplanter, all right, which is what his name means, supplanter. All right, he supplanted Esau, and he took the birthright, he took the blessing, So jumping down to verse 37, it says, and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do unto thee, my son? All right, so the blessing was for Jacob, which later was known as Israel and the sons of Israel. All right, it says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right, Esau wept because he didn't get what he wanted. He wept because he didn't get what his way. It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. So the same thing that Jacob got, Esau got too. All right, but Isaac at this point was speaking through the spirit. He was speaking through the spirit, because eventually Esau Edom was going to have dominion. All right, and everywhere he went, he conquered through his sword. Whether that be in a different nation, whether that be nowadays, but Esau Edom was going to conquer through the sword. And that's why verse 40 says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right, so that means Esau Edom was eventually going to have absolute control and dominion over the earth. That's why the fatness of the earth was given unto Esau. So verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Because Esau knew what those words meant. That meant that the promise, all right, of staying, under the wing of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was given to Jacob and his children. It wasn't given to Esau. But to Esau was given dominion, all right, whenever he overcame his brother. All right, so that's the blessing that Esau was looking forward to, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It came true, So that's why you have these self-proclaimed white men, which are actually paled red skins. All right, that's why you have them in rulership now. But I was just going through a little bit of history. All right, let me go up here again to the 18 nations. All right, because the original Greek down here, it says the Greeks were Japhites, which is Yawan. All right, they were Japhites. All right, now again, Japheth, Ham, and Shem were all dark skinned. All right, there was not one that was a pale skinned Edomite looking Caucasian. They were all dark skinned until out of Shem came the Caucasians, which is Adawam. All right, Edom. Cave dwellers. As it says in Job chapter 20, I believe, and Job chapter 30. They're the most hated people out of all the heathen. They dwell in the clefts of the rocks. All right. Those later on from Mount Seir, all right, moving on through the land of Edom, became known as Roman, became known as the Greeks, the Spanish, the English, the French, the Caucasus Mountains, Caucasians, you know, then later Russians, you know. But the original people were dark-skinned people, man, you know. So that's why I brought out the Table of Nations, because I wanted to show this. This was ancient. Let me see if I have. Yeah, I have it right there. This is an ancient Greek, you know, the 500 BC. This was ancient Greek, man. You know, these are the type of pottery that they did, which you have what? A dark skin and a pale skin, you know, which back then they had their names. You know, back then they had their names. But this is a black figure, amphora, a wine jar. All right, and it says signed by so-and-so, you know. So that's the potter. That was the thing that he did, you know. The next one says 530 BCE, the Andokites invented red figure pottery around 530 BCE. All right, so that's around the time that the Edomites started going into the Yawan, all right, which are the Greeks, the original Greeks, the native Greeks, all right, which later on became known as, you know, Edomite Greeks. And then also later on, you know, you had mixture of people that just started calling themselves Greek, you know. So it says 530 BCE, red figure pottery style takes precedent over black figure. All right, so they were starting to paint more red figure over black figure. All right, which who was the red man? Esau, Edom. All right, Edomites. Who was a black figure? Everybody else not associated with Esau. All right, he looks at you as black, whether you're, you know, a Japhite, all right, or African, or an Israelite, or an Elamite. All right, he's gonna look at you as black, colored, you know, and he's gonna call himself white. All right, when this pottery tells you it's a red figure, all right, over black figure. And what did we see? A red figure over black figure, which is who? A self-proclaimed white man, you know. It says 525 BCE and 456 BCE. It says Life of Greek Tragedy Post. Where's the other one? All right, but around that time, around 530 BCE, before the Common Era is what they call it, or before the Christian era, but really it's before the Common Era. You had, you know, people painting red figure pottery, which is a self-proclaimed white man, you know. And then you had this right here, which is red figure pottery, is a style of Greek vase. It says painting that was invented in Athens around 530 BCE. All right. Red figure. Now, where's red? Do you see any red around here? All right, there is no red. But what does that mean? That means Esau, Edom is the red man. All right, because those people were born red, man. You know? So it says around 530 and 320 BCE, you know, which what happened around that time was Alexander the Great came into power. All right, that was around the 320 BCE, you know. So it would make sense why Alexander the Great is you know, looked at as a war hero, you know, by the white men, because he's one of them. and they came into power by going into the Japhites and taking over what they have, just like this pottery, it shows you the history, man. You had Japhites that were trying to protect their land, and Edomites, all right, that were coming into power, And here it says, firing Athenian black and red figure vases. That's clear evidence. You see? So going into this, Esau, Edom, red all over. Red all over. Genesis 25 and 25. And the first came out red all over, like or as a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. All right, and Esau was later known as who? Edom. Idumea. All right, which they did the same thing with the Romans. The Romans were Japhites originally. All right, and then you had Edomites that went into Rome. All right, and they ended up conquering the original Romans, which were Japhites. All right, and became this white figure, red figure, pale skin figure, but it's always been Edomites that put themselves in a certain position and then try to wipe away any type of foreign bloodline or anything of that nature. So it says down in verse 29, Genesis 25 and 29, and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Again, from the field, because he was a man of the field. Same thing as Cain. He was out in the field, tilling. And his brother Abel, all right, was a keeper of the sheep, a shepherd. So it says, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. All right, so his name was Esau at first, which means wasted away is he. All right, which is Aisha. And then it says that said Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage. Red pottage is not Adam. All right, because when you go up here in the original text, it'll say, let's see, where is it? It says Man Ha Adam, all right, which is Adam meaning earthly, But then when you go down to Edom, it says, for I am faint, therefore was his name Shem, all right, which is the word Sham, which means name, called Quara, and then you go to the word Edom, Salakia. Damn, man. Adawam, all right, that's what that means, Adawam. Edom is not Adam. Edom is Adawam. All right, which means what? Red. You see? Edom, Edomite, Idumean, descendants of Esau, land of Edom, Idumea, land south and southeast of Palestine, Edomites, Edom, Idumea, all right, which is going into the word Adawam. It's not Adam, all right, but the word Adawam means red, all right, and we just read about the pottery firing Athens black, all right, which is a Japhite, and then it says, and red figure vases, which is what? An Edomite, red, So it's right there, man. You know, and the Most High has a bone to pick with Esau Edom, man. You know? That's why his name is Edom. You know? Let's see how they... Idumea. Let's see, how do they write it in the New Testament? Yep. Mark 3:8, and from Jerusalem, and from Idumea, and from beyond Jordan, and they about Tyre and Sidon, a great multitude, when they had heard what great things he did, came unto him. All right. And when we go into Idumea, why would they mention Idumea? All right, if it was already done away with, man. Idumea, the name of a region between southern Palestine and Arabian, inhabited by Edom. All right, doesn't let me click on it. Inhabited by Edom or Esau and his posterity. Let's look up that word, posterity. Future generations, descendants. You see that? So Esau was still having descendants in the time of Yahushai, in the time of the apostles, Mark, Matthew. All right. Why? Because even in that time, the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God, suffered. Let's see. Kingdom of God. Let's see if I can find it in this one. $113. Let's go over here. Kingdom of God. Where is it? It says the kingdom of God suffereth much violence. I want to say it was Luke. Let me see. Salakia. I want to say it was... Oops. Yep. It was Matthew. Matthew 11. Oh, that's Luke. Go up. Matthew. All right, let me start off at let me start off at 12. Matthew 11 and 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. All right. Who was Israel being oppressed by? I gotta use the heathen name. King Herod the Great. At the time of the birth of Yahushai, Palestine was ruled by the Roman vessel. Roman vessel. All right. And who were the Romans? The Edomites. All right. King Herod the Great. All right. Let's look up Herod. Oh, shit. Salakia. Let me see. Go back into it. Herod, Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east of Jerusalem. All right, now when we go into the interlinear concordance, you go down to the word Herod, which is Herodes. When you go into that word, which means hero or heroic, all right, it says the name of a royal family that flourished among the Jews in the time of the Messiah and apostles. Herod the Great was the son of Antipater of Idumea. You see that? So the Edomites were still around in the time of Yahushua. And Yahushua said, from the time of John the Baptist, the kingdom of the Most High suffereth much violence. Which is by who? The Idumeans. All right? Appointed king of Judea by the Roman Senate at the suggestion of Antony with the consent of Octavian. All right, so you had these Edomites that were in rulership, you know? Let's look up a picture of Herod. And man, I would be surprised if they actually, have a picture of a self-proclaimed white man. Let's look up King Herod. King Herod. All right, known as Herod the Great. That's the King Herod, man. An Idumean, which proves the Edomites were so-called white men, self-proclaimed white men. Look at that. He even has the red hair. Because the Edomites were self-proclaimed white men. That's why. Let's look at ancient Egyptians. That's why Israelites were able to go to Egypt, man. Israelites loved to go to Egypt whenever there was bondage. Why? Because they were dark-skinned. Tell me, when is an Edomite going to go to Egypt to blend in? You can't. You can't go to Egypt to blend in, man. You're pale skin. Cleopatra was pale skin. All right? She was an Edomite. Alexander the Great was pale skin because he was an Edomite. You see? When is Edom going to blend in with this, man? You see that? When is he going to blend in with that? A white man. That just goes to show that Joseph and Mary were not white, man. Joseph and Mary and Yahushua and the Israelites, they were not white. That's why they were able to go to Egypt to hide. Let's look up the word hide. Meaning of hide. Let me see here. To conceal from sight, prevent from being seen or discovered. To be prevented from being seen or discovered, man. Keep a secret. Hidden. Why did... Let's look it up. Let's see what they say. Why did Joseph and Mary go to Egypt? Let's look it up. Mary and Joseph traveled from Nazareth to Bethlehem in 5 BC, supposedly. Before the birth of Yahushua HaMashiach, the family moved to Egypt after Joseph was told in a dream to flee to the now North African country to escape from the command of Herod the Great to slaughter children in and around Bethlehem. Why did Joseph, let's see, let's go into this one. Tourism, 3 year. Now being embarked, one of the first time 520 tourists among the 5 places. 825 Egyptian. Let's go back. The Holy Family Tree. Nope. Why did Mary and Joseph flee to Egypt? Apparently Mary and Joseph didn't they stay in Bethlehem for some in Egypt because of Herod? Did Joseph and Mary take Yahushua to Egypt because they could blend in there? Question. And that's it right there, man. They went there because they can blend in. All right? How are white people going to go to Egypt in the time where they were predominantly, dark skin? The majority, if not all of them, which actually all of them, the only people that were light skinned were the higher ups. All right? The elite of Egypt were so-called white, So Mary and Joseph went to Egypt. All right. If they were white, they would have stuck out like a sore thumb. They would have stuck out like a sore thumb, man. They would have gone to Alexandria. All right. They would have gone to Alexandria if that was the case, but it wasn't, And I don't even think Alexandria was around at that time, But at a time, predominantly only Alexandria was white. All right, because you had the Edomites that took control of Egypt. The Greeks. So Mary and Joseph went there because they were fleeing. When you flee, what do? When you escape, what do? You try to blend in. All right, so how did Yahushua, Mary, and Joseph blend in Egypt? Because they were dark-skinned people. Otherwise, they would have gone to the Greeks, to parts of the lands of the Greeks, to blend in with the rest of the white people, man. It only makes sense, So Herod was an Edomite. So yes, Edomites were still alive around the time of Yahushua. The land of Edom was still around, and it was still known as Edom. All right? So that's who the white man is, man. He just goes in, neither keepeth he at home. Let's end it with that one. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth he at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right? And that's why he calls himself, all right, Italian and Spanish and French, and calls himself African now, calls himself Indian, Native American. He calls himself everything, man, because he doesn't keep at home. He doesn't have a home, It says, shall not these take up a parable against him, and taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that leadeth himself with thick clay. All right, because Esau, Edom was given the whole world, man. So how long until our rulership comes into play? And like 2 Ezra chapter 6 verse 9 says, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, because that time is coming, But I just found it interesting when I was digging around, and I found these vases. All right, see, this is a picture of Alexander the Great. That's a Caucasian man, with the leopard. He was known as the leopard in Revelations, But that's him right there, man. That's Esau, Edom, Black and red figure vases. Black and red. Plain as day, man. You know, plain as day. Around 5:30 when they took over. You know. So yes, Edomites are still around, man. Even up to date. You know, even until now. And even in the kingdom, there's going to be Edomites. All right, not inside the kingdom. All right, but they're going to be as slaves to the Israelites. As Revelations 13:9 says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right, and we have faith and we have patience that soon when Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai comes back, Esau Edom is going to be put to death. All right, and then the remnant of Esau Edom is going to be put in slavery. All right, Psalms chapter 2. Ask of me and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. You see, and that's going to happen. You know, so with that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to you brothers out there pushing this word out in sincerity and in truth. Shalom.